All right, let's go across to the guests. This is a direct political face-off that is playing out. Shehzad Poonawalla of the BJP is joining us. Shivani Gupta of the Aam Aadmi Party. Gautam Seth from the Congress Party. Reena, of course, most of the questions are coming towards the Congress Party, the Aam Aadmi Party today. You can talk about the education model, you can talk about the health model, and all of that is fine. It doesn't quite explain the very specific charges that the CBI has made. And even the Aam Aadmi Party per se has given an indication that this policy did go wrong. It went awry.
So Shivani, it is very clear that the Bharatiya Janata Party and Modi ji is rattled with the graph of Aam Aadmi Party and the popularity of Arvind Kejriwal. And we've been seeing this, that they are going to file fake charges and they're going to raid our top leaders. And it is in this series that today Mr. Manish Sisodia was raided. This is nothing new, Shivani. For the last 7-8 years, they've been raiding our ministers. They raided the chief minister's residence. They found 2 old mufflers. And that time also they were saying, oh, you know, such a big corruption has been unearthed against Mr. Kejriwal. What happened? No charges were filed. 150 cases against our MLAs. All of them have been let go. In fact,
this is slightly different, Reena. I mean, individual charges against MLAs, etc., whether they're of criminal nature, etc., is a very different matter. Both in the case of Satyendra Jain, he is accused of misusing his position in government to change land norms. And in this case, your ministers, not just as individuals, but as ministers, changing government policy are under scanner. This is a very serious matter. You have to explain or respond to the charges.
I'll explain and respond to everything, Shivani, if you don't interrupt and let me complete. If we look at the toolkit of Bharatiya Janata Party, since the time they have been elected in the center, they have conducted 8,000 raids. The conviction rate is less than 1%. So what do? You basically go around conducting raids on opposition leaders and hoping that you will break elected governments, do Operation Lotus in those states. This is what they're trying to do in Delhi. They're trying to break the elected government of Delhi. But I can assure you on your TV channel, Shivani, that none of our leaders are scared of ED, CBI. They can send whoever they want to. But none of them are going to be broken the way they did Operation Lotus in Maharashtra. And they broke an elected government over there.
I'm not understanding. One second. I haven't heard this from the Aam Aadmi Party before. Are you saying they're trying to bring down your government? By what? Buying your MLAs? Is that the charge?
Well, that's exactly what they're trying to do. Fake charges against our leaders. They're hoping that we will succumb under pressure.
And?
This is exactly, Shivani, this is what the Shiv Sena leader in Maharashtra said. कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी से दोस्ती कर लीजिए, नहीं तो हमारे खिलाफ ईडी और CBI की raids होती
Shiv Sena Maharashtra example is very different and not comparable to Delhi. But Reena, you didn't answer my question. You didn't answer my question. You have, in a way, accepted by rolling back this policy that there was something horribly wrong with this policy.
Shivani, the reason this policy was rolled back was because Bharatiya Janata Party was threatening the private vendors that if you renew your licenses, we will do a CBI raid against you. We will send the ED against you. So all the private vendors were refusing to renew their licenses. They had surrendered their licenses. And what would have happened was that Delhi would have become a dry state.
No, and Delhi already has lost virtually 50% of its liquor vends. So that has already happened.
You'll have to stop interrupting me. If you want to hear my side of the story, you'll have to stop interrupting
me. No, madam, I'm asking you counter question because there are facts here in place. You've had enough time. Please don't crib.
No. Let me complete. If you ask me to come on your TV program, you have to let me speak.
You've spoken quite a bit.
It is a technical issue, Shivani. If you want to understand, I can explain it.
Yeah,
but if you don't want to understand, then go ahead.
The fact that Manish Sisodia is named as accused number 1 and there are charges that his associates received money.
First, let me explain. You asked me why we took the policy back. Can I explain that now?
Sure.
So what Bharatiya Janata Party was trying to do, it was threatening officers. The officers were refusing to give licenses. They are refusing to sign on files. It is threatening private vendors that if you renew your license, we will file cases against you. As a result of this, all the shops in Delhi, all the private shops in Delhi were shutting down.
Okay,
they're already shutting down. Can I complete? Delhi would have become a dry state, and like they are doing illegal liquor business in Gujarat, they wanted that model in Delhi. We did not allow that to happen, and that's why we rolled back the policy and we said that the government will open liquor vends because you are threatening private vendors. The private vendors do not want to apply for licenses. And like they're doing in Gujarat, why don't you ask them questions on how every day there is a story in Gujarat? 10,000 crore worth of
Okay,
drugs
Reena,
found
I
in
must
Gujarat.
intervene now. I did ask you a question about Manish Sisodia. Now, there is a very direct charge that his associates received money.
Where is
Money
the proof?
exchanged hands. This is in
Where
the...
is the proof?
Okay,
You,
so
you can charge anybody.
okay, so are you saying that there is absolutely no corruption as far as this probe is
Absolutely not, Shivani. It has been proven time and again. The only people doing corruption are the Bharatiya Janata Party leaders who are allowing people like Mehul Choksky and Nirav Modi to run away with the money of this country.
Okay, let Shehzad
That is
come in
where
now.
the corruption
Let
is.
me go to our other spokesperson now. Shehzad and Gautam are both waiting. Shehzad, the difference in the technicality in this case is you could argue that a policy was wrong and that it had disastrous effects. And of course, the LG himself has sanctioned action in this case after a report from the Chief Secretary of the Delhi government. So it has not really come from dubious sources. But to allege personal corruption needs more. To allege that Manish Sisodia is corrupt needs more. Shehzad.
Yeah, so Shivani, I'm only going to answer in specifics and I'm going to cite out certain facts which are incontrovertible. I hope I'm not interrupted in the process. Shivani, first of all, let me tell you that if this was vendetta politics, this was the claim they made even for Satyendra Jain, and they said he's a Kattar Imandar. If we were indeed vindictive, the courts of law, the lower court has said prima facie sufficient evidence against Satyendra Jain. Is the court doing vendetta politics? This is the court order. It was broken on CNN News 18. This is the August 2019 High Court order saying that he was involved in Hawalabazi. And this is the 2022 July High Court order saying that he has a criminal background. Arvind Kejriwal should decide whether Satyendra Jain can be retained in the cabinet. 2 months. 2.5 months he's been a minister despite all these findings coming against him. So is the court also vindictive and not giving him relief? That can't happen. Now let's come to the current case, which is the liquor scam case. Shivani, there are certain specific questions I want to ask, and you have said, how do I link Manish Sisodia? Your channel just now broke the FIR, which has been filed by the CBI. Accused number 1 is Manish Sisodia. Accused number 11 is Dinesh Arora. Here is Mr. Dinesh Arora at the house of Arvind Kejriwal. And here is Dinesh Arora saying that Mr. Manish Sisodia came to his nightclub. And the allegation there in the FIR, and I'm not saying take that alone on face value, but the allegation is that Dinesh Arora was the collector of money on behalf of Sisodia ji. And there was a lot of money that came from a lot of these licensees and others, retail vendors, which went into accounts which were being handled by Dinesh Arora and others. Okay. But you'll say that this is not enough. This is just allegation. Let me just last 30 seconds. I'll sum it up and with specifics. Shivani, the specifics that I'm talking about is that the cabinet of Delhi government had said that Manish Sisodia is not authorized to take decisions with regard to liquor policy, yet he took them. And what were those decisions? Let me tell you some specific 4-5 decisions. One decision was to give a 50 rupee discount per crate. One decision was to give 144 crore waiver to the liquor mafia. One decision was to refund the 30 crore rupee EMD, the earnest money deposit, which should not have been refunded under the laws. One was to extend the number of vents per mohalla from 2 to more, to extend the operational period of the license. And last point, these are 2 notices that were issued for allowing manufacturing companies and for allowing blacklisted companies like Cow Gully to do retail trade. Their own government issued these notices, but no show cause notice ke baad no action was taken. This shows that it was covered up, and that the fact that the new policy was rejected and they came back to the old policy shows that there was corruption. In fact, I am surprised that Reena ji said that there's no corruption, whereas Manish Sisodia recently said that LG had done corruption. He has just said it in the last PC. First they said ki nahi, this is all vendetta. Then they changed their track saying no, there is corruption, and LG has done corruption. Today they have again changed their track saying there's no corruption.
Reena?
And finally, the Congress party, just last 10 seconds, the Congress party, which also often says that the agencies are being misused, the Delhi Congress party has come out and said in support that we support the action on Satyendra Jain. It's been reported. I'll just give you the news report.
No, Congress